All right, once again, thank you, everybody. So what we're going to do is just going to be a working session, and we're just going to see some of those prompts out there, some of those best practices out there. So first, I talked about security incidents, policy changes. If there are new policies out there, we can use ChatGPT to baseline and give us some of the recommendations in terms of those changes in regulation. We talk about security incidents. So if I have a dump of security incident, I could ask it to give me some of the best practice or containment strategy for those recommendations. Employee training compliance review, I can actually look at all our compliance data and ask ChatGPT to give me a trend on some of the best practices in terms of how to make sure people are more in compliance based on the data I have. I can also look at vendor risk assessment reports. I can look at mapping cyber policy to best framework out there. So I can actually take a cybersecurity policy and ask ChatGPT or any of those model to benchmark it to certain industry framework. And that can be ISO 27001, that could be NIST CSF 2.0, whatever it is, you could actually use it for any mapping you choose to do. So that's really cool. Another thing out there is that we can actually map vulnerabilities and say, okay, based on these known vulnerabilities out there, map it to give me a recommendation on how to fix those vulnerabilities. You know, incident report, incident response report. You can actually also, analyze an incident response report. So let's quickly just go through each one of these, and we can play with it on in real time. So you can see here, this is a sample security incident report here. You can see this is just talking about, okay, this is the incident number, this is the type of threat, this is the affected asset. Remember to show you the actual digital asset affected. Then look at the time of occurrence. So I can put a prompt to analyze, and this is a real prompt. I can say, analyze this data, you know, and help identify the current patterns such as specific types of threats, you know, uh, targeting certain asset or occurring at particular. So you can prompt it to kind of analyze the data for you and look at the times and look at the threat pattern in real time. Of course, it will not just be 10 they will give you, right? They might give you, the report might be like 1,000 lines, right? If I have 1,000 lines, that's a lot to analyze. So it means it makes sense to just, you know, um, use a similar prompt to analyze it in real time. Now look at this other one, policy change, for example. This is just an example I gave to say, okay, this is an IT policy here. In the policy, I'm telling ChatGPT to say, look at what I asked it to do. Review the existing policy and identify any deficiency concerning compliance with GDPR. So what it did here is this, it reviewed the policy and it went to data protection section, right? Which is up here, this section here. And it analyzed it and it told me the updated GDPR regulation mandate organization to implement enhanced encryption standard for protecting personal data. It actually gave me a feedback on what we should add. So that means if you have a policy and you want to check if it complies with certain regulation, you can prompt your policy to check if there was a gap as per an existing regulation out there. It's amazing. And it will show you. Yeah, it will actually show you, if there's a gap in your policy immediately. Okay. So that's another thing you can use it for. Now look at another one. This is a report that comes out of so many tools. I mean, there are many tools out there that you can pull this report from. We use tools to scan in cybersecurity for different incidents, right? So you might be using tools like Splunk, QRadar, internal tools, pulling logs, whatever it is, Nexus, whatever it is that is pulling your vulnerabilities or any incident that you've seen in your system, you can actually run a prompt to say, review each of the table and create a column for recommendation of the, identified issue. How do we contain it? If you have an issue identified, like I said many times, what you would have done historically would have been you would have gone to start researching from the vendor's website. From the vendor's website, you will start doing extra research on Google on the best practices. But now, all I need to do is find the dump of all the issues and incidents, and I'll just run a query. I don't even need to copy and paste it. I'll just upload the file into ChatGPT and it would analyze it for me. Crazy. I'll show you guys how to do that, okay? Very simple. It's one of the most underutilized tools in ChatGPT. We think it's mostly just to copy and paste stuff and write prompt data, but now you can analyze data. That is the most powerful, crazy tool I've seen. You can analyze real data. Okay, you'll see it today. All right, look at another one. This is just saying the employee. So we have here the employee trading compliance. You can see it shows the employee ID, completion rate, quiz score, the time spent per module. I kept it small for the purpose of our exercise. In real life, this report might be 1,000 lines because most big organizations would have many staff. So if I have all of this large information of all this stuff, I could just ask ChatGPT to analyze and give me, information about each of these specific reports and tell me a pattern, tell me a trend. It will do it for us. Amazing, amazing. All right, let me show you another one. Then once I go through, I'm almost done with this, then we'll now get into, you'll see the way I will do it. Really cool. Another thing you'll see is that, vendor risk assessment report. This is just an example here. So you can see this report. I can say, based on this vendor assessment report, can you give me, tell me the overall risk posture and recommendation to mitigate the risk. So I can ask some questions based on this report. Look at the final one, I believe. Mapping cyber policy to industry framework. So this is really getting into, framework, you know. So you can see here, give me 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so anyway, this is just showing how we can map different things. We can map vulnerabilities here. You can see here, this is a very nice one because what's happening here is that you can see a vulnerability and say, okay, based on all this, I think this is a very big one actually. I've seen this a lot. Some organization would have all of these vulnerabilities and the challenge is, okay, what do I do about it? Man, I don't know if you've seen those reports before. And honestly, I've seen those and at times it will just make you have like a brain freeze because what will happen is that you just realize, okay, you have all these junk files, um, but you just don't have, okay, what do I do about it? But our world has changed. ChatGPT said, okay, don't worry, we got you covered. There's something you can do about it. So that's pretty awesome, actually. So, but anyway, so you get the gist about that. So the other thing is you can look at incident response report and just ask it to help you to analyze stuff. All right. So now your question is, okay, you've said all this fancy big talk. How does it apply to us? So you see how it applies to us now. What I'm going to do is you guys will see in real time the same document we all have. We're going to pull this document. Let me share with you real quick what we're going to do. So I want us to go to, let's go to, all right, let me share my screen so you all can see. For those of us that have never used ChatGPT, don't stress it, not a big deal. So just come here, go to OpenAI and, but for you to use the tool I want to use, you have to use the premium version, the GPT-4. Typically in our community, I always recommend we can actually, for the purpose of to play around it and learn the tool, I recommend at least play around for like a month. Just pay $20 for 1 month to kind of play around it. I'll recommend 2 months to just invest to play around some of these tools. Honestly, to be worthwhile. So let me show you one of the tools that I love a lot. It's called analysis. So you just come here. I hope I'm sharing my screen. All right. So under ChatGPT, make sure it's under ChatGPT. This is the ChatGPT team. There are many tools out there. We'll use this tool called data analyst. Can we all type it? If you are seeing it, data analyst tool. Data analyst. Can we type it and just, I want to make sure we get it. Analyst. Can we all type that if you don't mind, please? That's the tool I want you to use. Data analyst tool. Data analyst. Yep, that's the tool. All right. Now, click on it. Okay. We just click on it. So once you click on it, you see this file, this information here. Okay. The file I sent to you, go pick it up. Once you pick it up, ladies and gentlemen, it has become a tool you can analyze. All right. So, for example, I'll just go pick it up and say, in that tool, for example, I'll just go and say, let's say, you could say, because the tool is already, let me quickly pick it up on, so make sure you put that information there. Let me open it on my side also. All right. So, you know what? Let me share my whole screen so that you all can have access to this actually. I'm going to share my whole screen so you can see what I'm doing. All right, let's share everything. Okay. So what I want us to do is go to this is our tool, right? And this is the document I shared with us. So for example, let's start with the first one. I'm going to ask it to go to, it already has access to our document. I'll just say, for example, analyze security incidents. I'll just give you this topic, analyze a security incident, provide. I'll just keep it simple. All right. So I'm asking you to look at that document, analyze that section on security incidents, and provide any known pattern. Now look at what this thing is doing for us. It's breaking it down and saying, okay, there are 2 incidents involving insider threat. There are malware, multiple. So the beautiful thing here is that this thing is summarizing it for us and giving us some context around it. All I did was uploaded that data. Now I can prompt it to do analysis of that data. So imagine me having a comprehensive report and I'm asking it to just go in and analyze the data, analyze the pattern, check the context around it, and just give us some historic information around it. It's crazy stuff. What do you all think about that? Let me pause first. What do you all think? Yeah, Joseph said that's mind blowing, scary, and crazy. Now that's one. Oh, okay, that's one. Let's look at another one of our other files. Policy change. Yes, it has highlighted that one. That one is easy for me. Let's go to this security incident containment. I can ask you to look at the security incident containment recommendation and give me a pattern. You know, I can ask you to identify any pattern. Let's say, uh, okay, I can say, you know, I can ask it to give me a pattern. Review so I'm just saying, give me the pattern, analyze it and give me the pattern, analyze, and I provide some of the patterns and best ways to mitigate the issues. You can see it's telling me, okay, high priority and critical impact, major incident include this, that's the pattern, best ways to mitigate issues around the pattern. So it's giving me, it's looking at the data I provided and it's just analyzing that data for us to give us the pattern around it. So I'm not even doing anything besides saying, okay, look at this data, analyze the pattern, tell me what's going on, just, keep it easy for me. The same document is all I'm using. So let's look at another one. Employee training and compliance review. I can ask this one to say, provide I can ask it to tell me, based on this, tell me a recommended way to increase completion rate. Okay. I can take this and say, okay, review and suggest best ways to increase rate based on the data. I said, based on the data provided, give me some best ways to increase compliance rate, based on the same data provided. All right. So it's giving some ideas on things we can do based on that same data, you know. It's picking it from that same source of materials we have, right? Which I think is just amazing. Let's look at another data point here. All right. I want us the last two. Put some context around vendor risk assessment report and mapping cybersecurity and mapping vulnerability and just, let's see what you guys can come up with. So I'll make you work as a team, just work in a team and say, okay, based on this information, what do you think, what are the ways we can prompt that same data or document to come up with some of the analysis for us, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, somebody said, if I upload company's document for ChatGPT, blah, blah, So before we even get into that, remember what I said earlier on? Every company right now, they are working on their own large learning models. So in a bit, a lot of companies would actually have access to their own version of LLM. As a matter of fact, in case you don't know, you can actually download some of those LLM on your local drive too yourself. And you can actually use it yourself, you as a person. They are large, maybe 16 gigabyte or so. You can actually start using those LLM yourself. But most companies today, of course, the issue is they are thinking of the strategy around compliance, the liability. Everybody's working on something guaranteed right now. So it will come. For you, you might have to use it on your phone to text and just write it out manually, right? For now. But I'm just saying it will happen. While that process is already shaping up, it's time to start thinking about how to be efficient in using these tools. I know for most of the consulting guys, everybody's already using this, right? They won't call it ChatGPT, they call it their own internal name. Even though they're using those model, GPT-4, GPT 3.5, GPT-5 proposed soon. So they are using those model at their backend, but they have mechanism and controls to make sure there's no bias and there is safety and security around those large learning model. So I won't worry too much about that. I'm more worried around, um, making sure we can understand how to use it ourselves. That's the first thing. Okay. All right, cool. So let's play with it, and remember again, the more you practice, don't ever shy from it. Just prompt it, play around it. Okay. That's what I would suggest we do so that you get more comfortable with it. So let's do that for the next 10 minutes. Then we'll come back. Okay. I want to make sure you do it, make sure you play around it. And others, some of us are more savvy than others, just take ownership, just show other people how the best way you've seen it used. And let's have fun with it for the next 10 minutes. Then we'll come back and wrap it up. Okay. All right. Let's do that for the next 10 minutes. Let's do a breakout section and I'll see you all in a bit. Let me do something. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I noticed most of us did not have access to the paid version. Can you all hear me now? Am I good? I think I should be good now. Okay. So yeah, okay, thank you. So sorry, my apologies. I realized most people do not have access to the paid version, and that's the one that will give you the ability to analyze actual data, Excel, PowerPoint, you know, if live happens and you have to analyze data, just subscribe. It makes sense. Okay. Now we can still use it the old fashioned chat GPT, you know, somebody said we're able to figure out workaround. Yes, we can do a workaround, copying it manually, so yes, so I get it. But at least the key thing I think is important, I wanted to make sure we call that out, is you know the ability is there if you need to. All right. So that's the key thing. Oh, somebody said Copilot can do it. Bingo. That's even awesome. I didn't even know Copilot could. I've used Copilot, but I never used it for anything like that. Okay. And we have 3 more minutes. And the only thing I would like to just showcase, a lot of you have pinged me one-on-one and asked me a lot about the upcoming GRC class. Yes, registration is still on. So when you go to skillweed.com site, typically most of you come here, you go to view all courses. This is the internship. If you've not registered for an internship, make sure you register because that's the only way you can have access to all this ton of materials. We keep everything there, so make sure you register so you can have access to it. Very important. Then this is the March 2nd class. A lot of you have asked me about, and people ask me, is there a payment plan? Yes, we can select the payment options here. For some of us, you could also go in. You have the option of using Clamor or using Affirm. So the options are also there. So those are the popular questions people have asked me. It's a 5 weeks program. This week, I believe Wednesday, we would have information session. Feel free to join. Some of our recent alumni that just got a job would be there. Also, I challenge you, attend our Lions Den section. You'll see how we prepare our folks for interviews. If you've never seen it, just go to our portal. You'll see all of those information there also. It's always there. So let me see if anyone asks questions about the upcoming program. I can answer that for the next 3 minutes before we wrap it up. But I think those are the key things most of you have asked me. The contents are there online. Everything is there. All right. So we are very transparent. Anyone that guarantees you is just saying nonsense, really. We don't guarantee anybody anything. You have to put the work. There's no shortcut. I wish I could tell you anything is magic. Nothing like we don't play that game here. We'll be honest and straight with our guys. You got to put the work. You got to put the time, the discipline. But one thing I know is this: you hold us accountable and make sure that we teach you relevant things. We do the same thing. If you don't put the work, if you like go to Harvard, Yale, if you don't put work, it's a joke, right? It's not gonna happen. So that's fantasy. So we don't play games there. If you don't put the work, you will not get anything. It will never happen. But if you put the work, put the discipline, put the time, then we stand a chance together. That's the way it works. But it's an illusion. Anyone that have said it to you, or you can, listen to such information, but mostly they are false. Nobody can guarantee you anything. All right, let's see. Any other question? Okay, good, 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 good. I mean, and that's the goal. In our community, we just keep empowering our folks. Just put the work. For us, we don't play games here. We believe in excellence, quality, discipline. Take pride in your work. Don't find shortcuts. It will show people who know, and it will backfire. And there are many environments that likes mediocrity. This is just not one of them. Yeah, really. We don't play that game here. We are strictly focused on excellence, quality. We want our folks to be the best in the world, and we know what it takes. You got to put time, discipline. You know, um, if you don't want to put that, then you're just playing games, and it's predictable. It will not work for you. Even when it works, you will lose the job. You'll be fired most likely because you don't put discipline and pride in your work. But if you put discipline and pride in your work, you stand a good chance. I mean, so yeah, it's it's an excellence platform. That's what we do here. We put our best consistently. We put the work. And another thing people have asked me, let me just be straight with you all. Somebody will ask me, oh, do you do interview for people? We don't do that game yet. Please don't even ask me those kind of questions. If you do, I'll just bounce the person off my phone. We don't. This is not a place for stuff like that. Will you help me to do your Why would you even ask that? Really, it makes no sense. Really, we believe so much in our team, your capacity. We believe so much in you being able to be leaders in your field. So, and you now come and diminish yourself by telling me stuff. Don't do that, please. You are more than capable and competent. So be disciplined, man. Put work, you'll get the result. I know that. But if you are saying, oh, somebody even asked me, do you help people do exam? Come on, guys. What do you think we are? We don't do that. We don't do we don't do stuff like that here. Don't even ask me stuff like that, or I'll just cut it off immediately. So, put the work, put excellence, take pride in your work, put discipline, be committed, and what you not want your kids to do, don't do it. Just put the work, man. All right, let's see anyone else. For the GRC program, typically I lead the program here. Now, we have a cyber CompTIA coming up. We have like 3 different strategic relationships you guys will hear about in a few weeks. So you'll see a lot of other people, you'll work with a lot. But for the GRC, I train and mentor the GRC program. Okay, that's all we got. Thank you all. And just keep doing great things. Keep showing up. For my folks already registered, just keep doing great things. You know, we have a limit for the March 2nd class. So just keep registering so you don't get caught up because the next one will be probably 2 months after. All right. God bless. Enjoy the weekend. Take time off and enjoy family. God bless. Bye-bye.